Good afternoon, dear students. Today's class is for class 8 and I am really happy to be once again with you online. And in today's class, we are going to discuss something very, very important. And that is the figures of speech. Today's topic is figures of speech. You have this in English and in Hindi as well. Now, what are these figures of speech? You must try to understand. Because if you don't understand, you cannot use them. Figures of speech is nothing but a figurative language that is used in a single word or phrase. I repeat, it is a figurative language used in a single word or phrase. Now let me kind of give you an example for this figure of speech. Somebody is very, very clever in mathematics in your class, let us say. You have somebody who does mathematical problems very fast. So you can say he is or she is as intelligent as Einstein, or he is as brilliant as Einstein. So what has happened here? I have compared the intelligence of Einstein to one particular student who does very good in maths. So the intelligence of that student, as far as mathematics is concerned, is compared to the great scientist, the genius, that is Einstein. So when a comparison, a direct comparison is made between two things or two people, that figure of speech is known as simile. Remember, it is a direct comparison. You can have hundreds of examples. She is as proud as a peacock. Somebody is very proud or very arrogant in the class. So you can say, oh, she is as proud as a peacock. Somebody is very slow in working mathematical problems or whatever the lesson may be. You can say, she is as slow as a snail. So you use a direct comparison between two things or two people. And how do you spot out or how do you find out whether it is a simile or not? A simile will have these what you call connectors, that is as and like. Remember, a simile will have connectors like as and like. So from this construction you can understand that it is a simile. You see, I have given you an example. He is as brave as a lion. So his bravery is compared to that of a lion. A lion is brave and so is he. So he is as brave as a lion. When you compare the bravery of a person to that of a lion, obviously you have followed the simile. You have used a simile in your sentence. To sum up once again, a simile is a direct comparison between two things or two people. It is a direct comparison and you have to use as or like, either as or like in your construction. There are hundreds of them. Now we come to the next figure of speech, that is metaphor. What is a metaphor? It is almost like a simile but not. I repeat, it is almost like a simile but not. So what is a metaphor? It is a hidden comparison or it is an implied comparison. Comparison will be hidden but you cannot see that very clearly. That is the beauty of metaphor. You see, the wind god. The wind god winnows people. It's a tough example but I'll make it easy. Wind god winnows people. What is the meaning? Subramanya Bharati, in one of his poems, says this: the wind god winnows people. The wind is directly compared to God. The wind is compared to God. The wind does the work of God. So you don't say the wind is like a god, but you say the wind god. So there is a hidden comparison. What is a hidden comparison? The wind is compared to God. That is the implied meaning. There is another example. You see, he is a Daniel in his judgment. Supposing you have somebody who is very wise in giving a judgment, very wise in giving a judgment, a refined judgment. So you can say he is a Daniel in his judgment. So who is Daniel? Well, Daniel is a biblical character. He was a man who gave wonderful and exact judgment. He was impartial in giving judgment. So I compare this particular person's judgment to that of Daniel. So when I say he's a Daniel in his judgment, what I mean is he is not impartial. He is not biased. Whoever it may be, he is just with his judgment. He is just with his statement. So he is a Daniel. Metaphor, he is a Newton of the class. He is a Newton of the class. If somebody is very good at physics in the class, then you can say he is a Newton of the class. So I am comparing the knowledge of a particular person in the class to that of Isaac Newton, who exactly was a genius. So he is a Daniel in his judgment. He is a Newton of the class. He is the Einstein of our class. All these are metaphors. Why? Because they are implied. They are hidden examples. One person is in an indirect way compared to another person. Metaphor. Now we come to the next one, which is a very important figure of speech, very commonly used, and that is personification. What do you mean by personification? The definition is here. The qualities of a living thing is assigned to a non-living thing. The qualities of a living thing is assigned to a non-living thing. What do you mean by that? Look at this. The angry sea swallowed the sailors. The angry sea. How can a sea become angry? Is it a living thing? Definitely not. It is an inanimate object. It does not have any life in that. So how can a non-living thing have the attributes or qualities of a living thing? Well, to bring out the importance of the sentence, to bring out a special effect on the sentence, the writer uses the word the angry sea. What does it mean? The sea was very rough, it was disturbed, and therefore it killed all the people, all the sailors. It swallowed. Who can swallow? A fish can swallow, a human being can swallow, but here the sea swallows. So what does the writer mean by this? The sea was very disturbed and violent and rough, and therefore it killed many people. So this is a personification. Another example, you see the moon hid her face behind the clouds. The moon hid her face behind the clouds. So what do you mean by this? Who has a face? Can a moon have a face? No. Only human beings can have faces. Animals, of course, creatures, they can have faces. But what does the writer mean by this? The moon hid her face behind the clouds. The beautiful moon. Moon is always associated with beauty. So the beautiful moon hid her face behind the clouds. It was not to be seen. So the clouds came and hid her face. Okay, right. So remember, personification is nothing but assigning a quality of a living person or a living thing to something which is non-living. I hope the idea is clear. Now we come to another figure of speech, that is hyperbole. Hyper, what does the word hyper mean? Too much. High, hypersensitive. A person who is very sensitive is hypersensitive. Hypertension. A person who suffers from high blood pressure has hypertension. So hyper means high. Now here it is hyperbole. What do you mean by hyperbole? Exaggeration or making an overstatement. In order to say something in a simple manner or in an effective manner, in order to say something in an effective manner, you make an overstatement. For example, let me quote Wordsworth. He has written a beautiful poem, The Daffodils. So he is walking through a valley of flowers which is full of daffodils, and as he walks he sees a large number of them, and therefore he says, 10,000 saw I at a glance. 10,000 saw I at a glance. What is that word 10,000 here? What does he refer to? 10,000 is nothing but many daffodils. Did he count them one by one? No. Does he have an exact knowledge of the number of flowers? No. Then why does he use the word 10,000 saw at a glance? He simply means that he saw many flowers at one glance, at one see. So he's making an overstatement. Now supposing if I say, oh, you have broken my heart. Can anybody break your heart? Impossible. You'll die. But what do I mean? You have put me into such trouble. You have given me such sorrow that my heart is depressed. You have broken my heart. I am totally shattered. This is an example for hyperbole. You have cut my heart into two. Well, this is one of Shakespeare's quotes. You have cut my heart into two. What does the writer say? He wants to say that you have caused a great sorrow to my heart, and therefore you have cut my heart into two. Example of hyperbole. Your generations shall multiply as sands or grains of sand on the sea. Well, this is a biblical reference. God, He tells to a particular person that his generation would multiply and multiply and multiply. So He says it would multiply as sands or grains of sand on the sea. What does God mean by this? Nobody can count the grains of sand. But the implied meaning is that your generation will improve. It will multiply, multiply and multiply. There will be no end to your generation. So I hope the examples are clear. A hyperbole is nothing but an exaggerated statement or making an overstatement of things. What is the use of these similes? There are hundreds of similes. But for class 8, we don't have to study everything. If you study all these 4 figures of speech, if you study these 4 figures of speech, that would be better. Now, what exactly is the use of this figurative speech? If you want to write good English, if you want to write standard English, if you want to improve your style of English, then you will have to use the figures of speech. Any good writer, any good poet, any good dramatist, any good story writer or novelist will use the figures of speech. For this you must read. You cannot understand figures of speech all on a sudden. It does not come overnight. For this you have to study. You have to do extensive reading. You must read very good storybooks. You must read stories of different writers. Then you will understand how they have used these figures of speech. Now I have given you some examples here. You can see that and you try to find out what they are. As white as snow. What figure of speech is used? Definitely it is a simile. He was a snail in the race. It is an implied comparison. He was slow like a snail, but like and as is not used. This is a metaphor. The third one, a sea of humanity. How can you compare humanity to sea? It means many people, uncountable people, a large number of people. It is a hyperbole. 10,000 saw I at a glance. I am quoting Wordsworth again. So this once again is an example for a hyperbole. It rained cats and dogs. How can you say that rain rains like cats and dogs? Do cats and dogs fall when it rains? Not at all. So what does the writer want to say here? He wants to tell us that it was raining very heavily. So if you want to say that in a beautiful way, you can say it rained cats and dogs. An idiomatic expression. And this is a personification. The figure of speech used is personification. The last one, the dead town. The dead town. Again, a personification. A town has no life. But when the writer says that it is a dead town, what he means is that the town was silent. People had died. People of the town had died. So the figure of speech that is used is, the figure of speech used in the sentence, the dead town, is a personification. And the last one, the scales of justice. What do you mean by this expression, the scales of justice? Justice, does it have scales? No. Here it is a metaphor. The scales of justice are in favor of him. That means he's going to get justice. You always see there is a figure of a woman holding a scale in the courtroom. If you watch a courtroom scene very carefully in films, you can see the goddess of justice holding a scale. So, the scales of justice. Again, it is an implied meaning of justice. Therefore, you can say this as a metaphor. So, my dear students, I hope you might have got an idea about these 4 figures of speech. Please go through them in your book. It is given, examples are given, exercises are given. You may try out the exercises and you will kind of go over them once again so that you will have a clear idea. And if you have doubts, we can always interact online. So till we meet again, goodbye.